Hello, Vault Dwellers and Wastelanders. My name is Kyle, and I will be your overseer for today's episode of Vault Broadcast, our Fallout interview talk show podcast, where we bring on creators of all sorts across the Fallout universe to come and talk with us about how they've made their creations, how they've grown their social medias, and so much more. On today's episode, we are joined by Rhys Wilson, aka Slocum'sJoeOfficial, a fellow member of the Wild Wastelanders market and good friend of Mr. Wild Wasteland, who we interviewed maybe 3 episodes ago now. I just got to give massive shout outs and massive props to all the interviewers that have come on the show, interviewees, I should say, pardon me, that have come on the show. They've all been phenomenal, absolutely a blast, walking away from all these episodes on a high. So I'm very excited for today's. Just to give a little bit of background, Rhys actually got me into the ambassador program for Bethesda. So if you need any codes, well, you know what? Maybe we'll update this one live. We're doing it live, folks. I think this is going to be code BTales40 at the time that you're watching this episode. So, if you want to save 20% off at the Bethesda shop, go over to the Bethesda Gear Store and use the code BTales40 at checkout. You could try 39 as well, and BTales 40 expires, try 41. They last for a week or 10 uses, and they go up whenever we're done. So if you want to save some money and give a kickback to the show, that's a beautiful way to do it. I will also remind people, if you're a fan of our Tales from Tomorrow TTRPG series, we got a separate YouTube channel for that. If you want to save 10% off of Fallout's official TTRPG, you can do that on the Modifius website using the evergreen code BTales there. It never expires. That'll save you 10% off. They have tons of minifigs, so much cool stuff you can get, and so much that I will be jealous if I see you posting it on your social media. Be sure to tag me if you do get any of this good stuff. I want to see what you're all working on there. Finally, or next to finally, a shout out to go over to overseerkyle.com for the links for everything. If you want to catch other episodes of Vault Broadcast, if you want to submit yourself to be on the show, you can find an interview link to do that, or an intake link, I should say. The Vault Broadcast link has it all. Oh, sorry, I should say the Overseer Kyle link has it all. It has Vault Broadcast, it has Tales from Tomorrow, it has all the rest. You could do that. And we're doing this no edits on the fly here today. Nice and fun, everything getting settled in. I'm waiting for Rhys to join me here on the side, so pardon me as I look over there. What else do I have to add in here? I guess I'll say one last thing. If you want to become a financial donor, contribute to the episodes themselves, you could go over to ko-fi.com/Overseer Kyle, and I'll get a link to that popping up some future episode here. I guess the very last one is to tease you to come join us over at Twitch, twitch.tv/Overseer Kyle. We are playing Fallout 76, and we're starting to set up some events with friends that you may know from around the community. And if you heard that little jingle in your ear, that means I'm going to hit pause here. Welcome Rhys in just a second. So, future Kyle, we are off to you. Hello, everybody. You are joining me as I sit down with Rhys Wilson, aka Slocum'sJoeOfficial. Welcome to the stream. Very excited to have you. This is a very exciting episode for me. Rhys, how is your night going over there?
Good. Obviously, been to the gym. I've just come back, had a bath. Other than that, doing good.
One of our amazing UK-based creators, along with Mr. Wild Wasteland, and we're going to get in with all of that background, how you guys all met, because we brought you up and talked about you on that episode, so we're going to do a little bit of the same here. And as I was telling the audience just a moment ago in the pre-show, that you were the one that helped me get into the Bethesda brand ambassador program, so a massive shout-out for you for opening that doorway to me and many others out there in the community, I have no doubt. Maybe we could get to just a little bit of basic information on you for anyone that hasn't come across your Instagram or TikTok accounts before. You want to give them a little bit of a premise of what they're going to find when they come to your page.
So, yeah, I remember, because I didn't have much Fallout stuff at the time. I've got pictures of what my collection used to look like. And I don't know, I always used to see these TikTokers and, well, not TikTokers, Instagrams, reels, and I used to watch a lot of Fallout stuff on YouTube as well. And I don't know, I've been off and on Fallout during the years. Obviously, it started off with Fallout Shelter. Started off playing Fallout Shelter on the Xbox because I was trying to find a free game to play, and there was that. And then I thought that was it, and then I ended up finding Fallout 4, and I was like, "Ooh, interesting. Okay." So I ended up playing Fallout 4, and that's just when my love for Fallout developed. So I was watching a few people's Instagram accounts, and I thought, why not? I could just get like something per month and just like show it off, and that's what the original plan was going to be. And then obviously, I created the Instagram account. I had my Nuka-Cola bottle, and I'd done a video on it. It done pretty well. I wasn't assuming it was going to do well. I think it got somewhere. It was 150 views or something like that. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it was a lot to me. Um, and then obviously I got introduced into the brand ambassador program, and I was like, yeah, do you know what? I'll give it a go. I thought I was going to make like 20 cents per month. First day, I was getting an email. I was like, what's the email? I've made money. Oh, cool. And it kept coming and coming and coming. I was like, oh my God. It was awesome. Very nice.
Heck yeah, that is a very cool way to get people involved with it. I remember doing stuff in and around Bethesda's products, even Fallout back in 2020, and they had no way to do referral stuff. And I was streaming at the time, and that made it a very weird disconnect. I even remember talking to someone at Bethesda about it at one point, because I was like, you got all these streamers, all these creators, people are pushing your content, but there's no way for us to get like an affiliate code to their website. And it was kind of weird because we were using things like Humble Bundle, trying to refer people to the digital games and all the rest. And finally, they got this group brand ambassador that makes it so easy for us to get codes, get that money back in return so that we can like reinvest it and, you know, do people are doing giveaways and all the rest. And that's a big thing we'll get into with the Wild Wasteland market here in just a minute. But I want to talk briefly right before we dive into that. So you've done a lot of unboxings on your channel, but maybe we could talk a little bit about how you came about choosing the Slocum's Joe branding, because that's a cool pick. I also started with Fallout Shelter briefly, and then I got into more of it with Fallout 76. So maybe not everyone that gets into Fallout knows as many of the brands as we all do at this stage. So why Slocum Joe's for you? It's a great color scheme to be using. How did it come to your forefront?
So when I was deciding to create an Instagram account, I thought everyone's got Fallout this, Fallout that, the Fallout person, Nuka that, Nuka this, and everyone's usernames are all generally the same. So I thought, what's not been used? I typed in a couple of different ones, and they were all used, and very similar ones. And that's when I came about Slocum's Joe. There was only one account, very little followers, inactive account. And I was like, Slocum's Joe, I like donuts. I used to be a barista, so I know quite a bit about coffee. Let's do that. And it's the same thing with Mr. Wild Wasteland. This is how me and him like properly started talking, because he was the Fallout Collector UK, and I said to him, he was talking about doing a revamp of his a whole refresh of his page, and I said, have you considered about changing your name? And I said, because your name is very similar to a lot of people, and like the Fallout Collector, very big one. So if people type in Fallout Collector, you're not going to come up. It's going to be the Fallout Collector because he's obviously got a more bigger following. I said, so if you have your own username that no one else has, and you're going to pick up pretty easily. And he was like, do you know what? That's a good idea. I'm gonna do that. And that's how he ended up changing his username to Mr. Wild Wasteland, as we know.
I love that. That's a really good piece of advice too. Branding is really everything, and especially as the social media apps are more and more cluttered. And when you think about someone searching up a username, most people do take the first search result for better or worse. And so that was a really good piece of advice, because Mr. Wild Wasteland's name is now becoming more and more well known, and the Wild Wastelanders market is just a natural spin-off of that. You're right to say, like, Slocum's Joe's is one of those brands that's not out there nearly as much as like Nuka-Cola or something, even vault-tec and stuff. You know, I chose to brand my stuff around being in a vault, but also recognizing, you know, that is a little bit more of a cluttered space. Slocum's Joe's, though, is one of those brands that I love it. I think as we're kind of seeing this video play in the background, you can see the little Slocum's Joe's mascot or icon there, his little donut holding a coffee. And it's just such a cute thing. I love it in 76. So I think bringing that branding to life in this way on social media is super fun. That's a great way to do it. maybe we could pivot into talking a little bit about the Wild Wastelanders market, because you're an admin over there, and the concept has been growing quite a lot. In fact, there's just been a massive influx of members, as far as I understand it. What's that sort of been like, being part of that group as it grows?
Well, because obviously me and Mr. Wild Wasteland, myself, we're both co-owners. He came to me with the idea, and he says, because we both had some pretty bad experiences with a previous group. So he came to me about creating a new one that's not like their group, that's more free, and less restricted. And I was like, do you know what? I had my doubts. Don't get me wrong. I had my doubts. I didn't think it was going to do well. I didn't think we were going to get to 1,000 people so soon. So we started it with, I think it was just 4 of us, and then we started getting more people. And then a little while back, we ended up getting more people, and it's just gone up even more.
That's super cool. And also, I mean, amazing to see you being part owner of that project, the process, the whole thing. Like, it just seems like such a great idea, getting all of these fellow Fallout creators involved in it. And Mr. Wild Wasteland, for anyone out there that hasn't checked out his episode, ooh, I'm bad with numbers. He's like episode 6, maybe in the queue. Go, I think that episode 6. Go listen to that on Vault Broadcast. He talks a little bit about, the past experience not being super great, other communities out there not being the most idyllic space. So you guys trying to create something new. And I remember him talking about wanting to kind of tap all these fellow creators of a similar scale, especially the people who are coming into the community, up and coming, growing, people that don't have such a large established audience behind them already. It feels good to me. Like, as someone who also has just joined in on that team, it feels really good to me, because sometimes you do get into those spaces where there are very large, very established creators, and everything is gravitating towards them. I don't even want to say that everything is like intentionally focused on them. I'm sure sometimes that's the case. But even just the gravity of them having so many followers themselves, a lot of those communities tend to become a sort of echo chamber or a silo around them. And I like that that's almost from the ground up, not something of the project you guys are doing. It's all about these fellow creators who are equally ambitious, relatively the same experience with the craft. Maybe some have a little bit more behind them than others, but it's really a group of equals coming together and co-building this space. I think that ties back into what you just said. So I guess it's more of a compliment than it is even a question to you. But I think there's some round of applause that should be given for the culture you guys have created in that group.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very proud to be a part of the Wild Wasteland market. It's definitely a really good community. I never really use Facebook as much. I mean, I don't think many people in my younger generation use Facebook. It's quite there's a lot of stuff I don't like about Facebook. So I don't ever scroll through Facebook. I just stick with the Wild Wasteland market.
Honestly, it was the same. Mr. Wild Wasteland himself reached out to me about joining in, and the first message I sent back, I declined the offer politely to join the admin team, because I was like, man, it's not about you guys, it's about Facebook. Then I don't have the app on my phone. I find it so confusing. The only reason, and you probably understand this too, you got a verified Instagram account, so maybe you had to do something similar or identical. The only reason I have a Facebook even is that you got to have the Facebook business integration with the Instagram business account if you want to use some like scheduling apps and all that stuff. So that was really the only reason I have a Facebook account to begin with. So I feel you. I feel you about going through there. It's Facebook at large is quite tedious, but getting into the actual group is pretty easy to do each day. I mean, I've sort of just trimmed my Facebook down to be focused on that. And I go in there and I like a few posts and I leave a few comments and just kind of see what other people are selling. And maybe that's what we could talk a little bit about next is that the Wild Wastelanders market started, my understanding is about selling or helping other collectors link together, trade off items, sell off items to each other, better than going just to eBay or some large outlet like that. But now it's growing into so much more. Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about that, because I see the admin chat flying by with all these great giveaways as you're hitting, 1,000 subscribers. Maybe you could talk a little bit about how you're feeling with the current state of things now that it's kind of poised to grow a lot and fast.
Yeah, so there is there is a reason why the Wild Wasteland market has changed, sort of, from what our original idea was. For some reason, we cannot figure it out. We cannot create group chats. So the only way people communicate is through the Facebook page. So we said at the start, right, let's just accept any posts saying, "Oh, how is everyone?" and all this. We'll just accept them until we can obviously find how to create the community chats for the group chat. But every time we try and do it, it always says failed, or error to create the community chat. And we've been trying so many different ways, but just nothing's working. And apparently, I've done some research on it. It's been going on for 2 years now, because there was Reddit comments about 2 years ago complaining about people not being able to create community chats on Facebook.
Well, isn't that always the favorite response when you have a tech issue, is to see that it's been going on 2 years unaddressed? We'll just add that to the list of reasons I am not a big Facebook user. But honestly, even Instagram has a lot of those weird bugs built into it that rarely get addressed. So the goal was actually, or hope was, to get a text chat feature attached to the Facebook. I guess it's a group or a page over there. It's a group, is that right? Because pages are different things, I think. Maybe it's both.
It's a group. Yeah, I'd say it's a group.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't know that there wasn't a text chat built into groups over there, but I guess it is. It's all post-based for the moment, huh? So no obvious path to getting that fixed. Is that right? Like, no support tickets can maybe get that moving along.
I've reported it multiple times. Nothing's come about it.
We'll all just hold our breath as Facebook and Meta get hard to work on that one. Well, okay, so you have a little bit of a setback in that way, but in other senses, then it's kind of grown regarding the sort of interest that people have put through there. Meaning, it seems to have changed from exclusively posting, "Hey, I want to sell this item," to a little bit more of people's goings on in Fallout. I was hearing that there was some sharing from within the games going on up there. We were given permission over here to go and share some of the episodes of the podcast in that group. So it's gone from just a market to now a little bit more of like a community hub in itself. Would that be pretty fair to say?
Yeah, it's definitely become like a community hub, like you said, which is great. We didn't expect it to turn into this, but it has. Obviously, I think we were always intending to sort of be a community, but more on the selling and / buying side of things. Obviously, we were going to keep all of like conversations and like announcements for like a new Bethesda product coming out in the community chats, and now it's all been put into the community.
It is sad. This will be my last lament about Facebook, but I feel like there's still such a massive draw to things like groups across the internet. Gosh, I've been using Facebook on and off since, this is going to date me here, but like 2010, maybe a little earlier than that, I was using Facebook. So we're now a good 15 years past that. And I've seen other things come and go that all try and emulate these group environments. And for some reason, whatever it is, maybe that these companies can't monetize the groups as well. They never get the love that they deserve. It's rare to find a place that lets a content creator of any kind host something that others can come to and post their own content or create those chats. I think something like Discord would maybe be one of the next obvious ones, but Discord's very popular to gamers and not popular to larger communities. And that's where things like Facebook fit, so many of they check so many boxes. so many people have access to the tool. It's free. You don't have to download anything. You don't have to be a gamer to enjoy it. But then they half bake the tools, and so you guys, get stuck with it, like working half how you want. And that's a little sad because just seeing how much it's grown, we know you're going to get a lot more eyes on it. And I kind of want to maybe pivot and talk a little bit about that. Is how have you grown? What has been a successful sort of tool or tactic that you guys may have used to try to get people in? I see a lot of resharing in one another's stories, and I think that's been really great. That's probably what's keyed me into what all you guys are doing.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I think it's just the people. I think they're just trying to find something new on Facebook. Obviously, talking about the previous group, which they shall not be mentioned. But I mean, I'm sure they have sort of pushed away a lot of people, and they've come across our advertisements on Instagram and TikTok, and that's where they've come from.
Yeah, that seems like a very sensible thing, especially if another group's alienating people. We always talk here that there's people in the audience who are looking now more than ever for communal spaces, safe spaces. Heck, I even, and again, not naming names, but I even had a person just reach out to me the other day talking about like, hey, there's a big content creator out there. You want to stay away from them. They're pretty toxic and like they seem nice at first. And so I just got even that like out of the blue vague warning, and I kind of knew who they were talking about right away, but I just thought that was an interesting tell about where people stand right now. That people are tired of supporting creators who are fake, ones that are exclusively trying to monetize what they're doing in like a malicious or even sort of tacky way. I don't know, somewhere in between malicious and tacky. It's sacrificing the content for the money. But again, when it comes to a group that you've got spawned up over there, like from the creators themselves to the actual people engaging with it, it feels like a lot of these people come from really grassroots communities. Maybe some of that's the fact that you guys have tapped into a lot of the cosplayer setup, that those people are who collect those pieces of attire for their own builds, but also really are doing the on the ground stuff. They're taking it offline, maybe touching grass, if you will, that there's actually sort of a boots on the ground effect to what you guys are doing and not just keeping in some digital only space in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would like to get to know a bit more on the people on the Facebook community, but I just find it so hard to just scroll through TikTok. I'm more of like a text person.
Gotcha. It is challenging to try and find different people out there to work with online, and maybe this is something you could talk about too, because you're a newer creator yourself, as you've kind of alluded to. But as we've even talked about in the past, you're someone that's newer just to doing social media at large. I guess kind of weaving a couple of these different things together, and in vague reference to this other previous group, it's also something to be mindful of as a creator of who you associate with. The age-old phrase that you are who your friends are is very very accurate, at least in the eyes of people who don't know you yet. I've found over the years across the internet that even if you don't fully support someone's, like you don't know them personally, you don't support all their ideas, you don't support this, that, and the other, being part of those groups or something like that, that image can affect you, especially those people. So what you're kind of telling me all throughout here, it just, there's a lot of sense in it. People coming and finding your group because they're looking for something new. Other people, other creators also being wary about who they work with in turn. And I think you guys keeping the community here very centric on builders and creators and those who want to like are big collectors and big involved in the community to begin with, just makes a lot of sense. And I'm wondering if you've had any of that sort of understanding or notion when you're coming up as a social media person yourself. I wonder if that's any of the conversations you had with Mr. Wild Wasteland or anything. You guys clearly have chosen to make this new group in sort of reaction to others. How have you guys kind of navigated who you want to be a part of the group?
It's sort of people that are most active, because obviously we want active admins. So we have chosen people. He's chosen a couple of people, and I've chosen a couple of people. Um, People that we've talked previously to quite a bit. Like I invited Stanley. I met Stanley through TikTok because I do TikTok streaming on TikTok. Um, so I know her from TikTok. So I ended up inviting her. He invited a couple of people. So yeah, it's just people that we know. I mean, we've had one member, um, and we found out some stuff about him, um, which isn't the best. So we had to remove him, which is always unfortunate. But obviously, we don't want to associate with people like that because obviously we want our group to do the best it can.
That's a great way to put it too, and I applaud that. I applaud the having standards, having some rigor to it. I think there's two extremes often in creating these sort of groups. The one is that you take everybody without question. And that, of course, invites some bad actors here. Even people that you might not know they're bad actors. Some of them, it might not be malicious, but it's just circumstantial. But then on the whole other end is maybe where it sounds like those other groups were moving to, which was sort of, again, exclusively focused on the big, just the large names only, no real air or space for the small and up-and-coming peoples. And so I just simply applaud the fact that you guys are using that level of diligence in checking who's in the group. And I think communicating with people ahead of time is a really big one. I, as a creator, very much got that idea from what you guys were doing. Like when Mr. Wild Wasteland approached me, it was a very personal message. It was very much about, hey, we'd love to have you and tap you for this sort of thing. And so I already had immediate respect. I mean, from having conversations with you, yes, that. But also I had respect in the way that he reached out. It was very personal as compared to like those who do just like a mass message thing. Like, I mean, you see those ads and even spammy things on Instagram all the time. Like, hey, send me your post and I'll whatever your thing. And that wasn't like this at all. You guys, it's very clear you're talking to the people that you're inviting. And I think that shows in the level of content that's coming out of it, like the caliber of what that is. And I think it then further shows in the amount of people who are feeling safe enough to join into these groups and get involved and start talking in there, because any involvement from an audience shows a certain level of safety. They feel that if they voice their opinion to you guys, it's going to be well received, not hostilely treated or not deleted as spam, but instead, given air. And I think you guys do really well with that. I think that's something you guys should pat yourselves on the back for, especially is just that level of who you're keeping in the group.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a good. I'm going to be a bit ego, but
Do it.
we do have the best admin team in Facebook.
I think you got it, honestly. I think it's a strong asset for the whole group and all the people that are part of it. So maybe you could tell us a little bit of a difference then when you're talking about Instagram, you're talking about TikTok, we're talking about now clearly Facebook and what it offers. How do you treat these platforms, if you treat them differently at all? Like, for the people who haven't come across your TikTok and your Instagram, I mean, we're showing a little bit of that on the side. If I could flop back to that scene briefly, I got these videos on scroll on Instagram. Do you do a repeat of these same videos then over on TikTok? You just mentioned you do some streaming. How do you differentiate those platforms, if at all?
Yes, so literally, I'll do a recording. I'll put it on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I've only been doing this for 5 months. This is my first time doing content creation. I think I'm a couple of days over 5 months now. Yeah, I've never had TikTok in my life until I started this social media. So TikTok, I've never ever liked TikTok. I've always had a passionate hate against it. Um, but obviously, if I want more reach to more people and show off what I do and show off these products, um, and like give an honest review on them, I've got to do all these different platforms just to get them out more.
Absolutely. It's something I am really, really bad at, by the way. I got to give you guys massive props to it that keeping up with a consecutive posting cycle is tough. I mean, it is a lot of work. And I mean, you're pulling some good likes on these videos from what I'm seeing, because I think getting started on something, especially like Instagram, is really hard. I've had some success with it over the years, but it's a platform that really seems to celebrate you when you're posting regularly. And from my experience, it seems to punish you the moment you back away from it. So TikTok, I've got little equal feelings to that platform too. That hell, I even recently I just got my one account banned for nothing. But back at it, and quickly, people from your community especially have really been helping me grow that account back. There's sort of a feeling of, what's the word for this? Like non-permanence. It feels like a lot of these pages, you have to pump out something regularly, but also be cautious of how their algorithms work. And I wonder if you've had any real success or struggle. Has there been something that you've been doing that's maybe working more than others when you do these unboxings? Anything you've really maybe even changed over time to kind of appeal to your audience in a bigger or better way?
Yeah. The algorithm. um, it's like that one saying from Fallout. Look, I tinker, but when it comes to computers, I'm not. I can't do it. So with like, I can strip an engine, I can put it back together. I can strip apart a phone, I can put it back together. But as soon as it comes to analytics and statistics and all that, yeah, don't ask me.
It's a difficult thing. I don't know. I could always try and learn it better. In the day and age of AI, for whether people like or hate it, I feel like that's probably an area we as creators can take something from. I've had this idea floating in my mind of downloading like YouTube analytics and starting to feed that to something like ChatGPT or DeepSeek and seeing if it can make heads or tails of it. But I'll hear all these creators get on their self-help podcasts that they do. They get on there on camera and say, well, you just got to go to your analytics and study your analytics and look at those analytics and look at that analytic. And I'm just like, okay, buddy, but what am I actually looking for? Like, how do I take this graph that yes, I read English, I understand the words, but how do I turn that from raw data or even somewhat interpreted data to me actually shifting content or anything like that? And I also often have this thing, I don't know if it's good or bad, but there's a part of me that always laments and regrets that we, the creator, if we start studying analytics too much, you start making your content for the algorithm, for the numbers. And there's probably a rightful battle in some way. Like, if you really want your content to get out there, you're going to need to do a little bit of that. But also, if you start making all your content for the algorithm, is any of it what you wanted to make? And is it really for your audience at that point? Or is it just for the machine? I don't know. Have you had anything like that, Rhys? Have you thought of those things that ever get in your head? Because I know, like I said, that's sort of a refrain that goes on in my mind here and there.
See, I've had tips on what I can do. I've done them. Some things just work. They do like extraordinarily well, and then you try it again, and it flops. It's even worse than any other typical video. And it's like, what? I've literally just done the same thing I've done in that video. Why is it done so much worse? It's very hit or miss.
Boy, I agree with that for sure. And I think to some extent, it's why I don't really chase those tips as much. I When I first got into like streaming, for example, I really did listen to a lot more streaming coaches, people that would talk about like, do this and you'll succeed, and do that and you'll succeed. And some of those things certainly did help. And this maybe is actually turning into a little bit of a cynical story for a second, that unfortunately I've noticed over the years that a lot of people, a lot of coaches of any kind, who make their passion, they make their money, they make their success on YouTube, TikTok, whatever it is, doing coaching. You got to also pay attention to how well they're doing, because if they're feeding you all these tips and then not really succeeding on their own, there is probably something fair to judging, like, well, if you're not succeeding and you're telling me to do this, you know, you got to like read between the lines a little bit there. And that's not to diminish any good coaches out there, because I know there's people out there doing great stuff, promoting great content, and there's quite a few I've liked over the years. But I've also seen some of them sort of collapse under the weight of the things that they've told others to do. And that's something I think all creators should be sort of wary of, or not afraid of, but just conscious of. It's like, are you in it for longevity, or are you in it for something short? Kind of knowing your own passion length, knowing, you know, where you want to take it, I think is sort of an important thing, just to keeping on the rails, keeping yourself focused on what you want to do, instead of, again, falling prey to chasing the latest trend, chasing whatever someone's told you about the algorithm, chasing these things that, like you said, might work once really well, but then the next actually hurt your video. And I still always blame the algorithm itself, not the creators. You know, we can only work with the information we're given and what we can dig up out there. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that that's happened to you, but it's certainly happened to me as well. Maybe we could talk again then about some of the collaborations you've done here. I know we've sort of already talked about that and who all you're getting into the group, but one way to kind of overcome algorithm stagnation, or even like algorithm isolation, seems to be collaborating with people. And you're really good at sending invite requests, especially on Instagram and things like that. Have you found that to be a successful tool? Because it's something I really enjoy, when you can invite someone to collaborate on those posts and therefore get their names up there with you and it appears on their page.
Yeah, so obviously, if you have a look at my videos, you will see it's there in the 500s to 200 views. And then I saw the podcast with Civil Fallout, and I heard that he mentioned about he would collab with people. So I shot him a message, and he started collabing with me, and that massively increased my views. I think my biggest one got up to 8 point something views, which is the NCR flag. That done really well, so I was really over the moon about that.
That's wonderful. You know, honestly, aside from that very first one I sent him, or about the actual video going out there, the interview, I haven't sent any big collab posts. I've been certainly slacking on my Instagram in favor, I think, of sort of working on the new TikTok one. But I'm really glad to hear that. I'm really glad that you took away something from that, because, yeah, he seems like such a cool dude. You guys, all being fellow UK-based creators, should absolutely like link up and do something someday. That'd be really, really cool. But I'm really glad that he accepted that too. I'm glad you guys like chatted with each other briefly, whatever it was, because the stuff you're putting out there, I mean, these videos, I know this is some Mr. Wild Wasteland in here too that I'm clicking on, but like the quality of all this stuff just shines through. And I think I told you before, I find there to be some real value in these as well. That there's some items on the Bethesda shop that I think we may have just looked at it. This is a personal thing, folks. This is just a Kyle doesn't love it thing. These are so small. And I did not watch your video on one of these before I got one. And I just got to say, this is a Kyle thing. So Bethesda, any hate comes solely from me. I was pretty disappointed when I got this because I read mini, but I didn't understand it was going to be so mini. And so what I had even just written to you was, I was like, I love that you're actually taking these out of the box, that you're handling them, that we can see what the size is, especially when you're scaling it to something else. Because Bethesda items are pretty premiumly priced. They're not the cheapest things in the world if you get them off of a sale. So having this actual visual aid to go with it is really nice. And that's something I tried to do a little bit here and there. I might get back to it, but some YouTube unboxings kind of inspired by what you're doing as well. So I think you're doing everyone out there an actual service in the community by taking these apart and looking at them. And also cool to hear that you're a naturally handy guy with all of that stuff. I know you're not breaking these items down, looking in the interiors, but it is kind of cool to hear you got that skill set for taking apart phones and all the rest. It does make me feel like there's some natural crossover there from prop review to actually product breakdown is something in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I want to do different types of content. I don't want to be just based on unboxings. I just, for the life of me, can't think of what I could do. This is what me and Mr. Wild Wasteland are sort of caught up at the minute, because obviously, as he's already said, that he's coming down to meet me. So he's coming down here for a few days. He's booking that today. Um, and for the life of me, I can't think of what we could do. I've had some ideas, so obviously I will have some new content that's not strictly unboxing things, because obviously unboxing things can definitely be quite hard because you're limited. Like there's nothing really on the Bethesda Gear store that I can really get anymore. I mean, there is a few things, but if anything costs over £130, I get taxed for it, and it's ridiculous. I remember because I ordered the Pit Boy. I've never had one before. Like I said, I've had a very small collection. It's in my highlights somewhere of a picture what my collection looked like when I first started off, and yeah, it was really bad because I ended up getting it, and then they were like, "Yeah, it's £52 tax," and I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah, £52 tax." I didn't think I was going to be able to pay for it. I didn't have the money at the time, so I thought I was going to have to let it go and miss my chance of getting a Pit Boy. But thankfully, my mum came in clutch and she was like, I'll get it for you, but you better pay me back." And I was like, "Oh, absolutely."
Thanks to Mom for doing that. That's a real shout out to her. That's what it takes sometimes. I'm sorry to hear that there's such a sort of a barrier to getting this. And I would have a question for you, because I've purchased off of them maybe twice over the years. How is the Bethesda International shop? Is that something that is actually good for people in the UK, or is that sort of meh? I don't know if you've even looked at it really.
Absolutely not. If you're in the UK, do not get off of the international shop. I plead you. The biggest thing is, so in the Bethesda Gear USA version, the Pit Boy is $200, which translates to something £160 to £170. On the international, it's £200, which is an insane jump. It doesn't make sense, but they actually make more money off of the international than they would with the Bethesda Gear one from the USA.
Yeah, that shop. I mean, we're just BSing here and having a good time of it. But Bethesda, someday I would love. I want to sit down with like someone that knows the actual, I guess, the intricacies of their shop, because way back in like 2019, when I was way more streaming Elder Scrolls stuff and the rest, the US shop was 2 thumbs down, very like proudly 2 thumbs down. It all looked like corporate merchandise. The shirts were like these little boring, like just only on the shoulder, like you were going to wear it to your office corporate retreat sort of thing. So uninspired, so unoriginal. In the last 5 years, they have pumped out so much more interesting stuff. I don't know if that means someone retired or someone new got hired, but the shop has gotten bigger and better on the US side, because it's the story I want to make here is that there is some weird divide between the international shop. They used to have great things up there that you just couldn't get on the US side. And it was, like you say, very much more expensive. And so recently, I mean, in the time since I've known you, is when I made a purchase off the international shop. It was stuff that had already left ours. And some of it I got on sale for a good price anyway, so it wasn't outrageously more expensive than our own. But I found it ironic that even here in the United States, the international shop ships to us 2 or 3 times faster than the actual US shop. I don't know what's going on in your guys' warehouse over there, Bethesda, but this is someday maybe we can have one of them come on and pull back the curtain on what exactly happens. But I'm always just, again, a mix of fascinated and a little bit confused why those prices are so much higher over there, why they get sometimes better merchandise than we do in the US, why the warehouses seem to be more active in the US than our own shop. It's just, there's a lot of questions, but as I'll bring it around to a very good positive note again, is that the Bethesda US shop has vastly improved the quality of their products. And I'm very hopeful they're going to give us a huge new round of merchandise in advance of Fallout Season 2 coming this year, this December, because I actually remember around the time Season 1 hit, the shop even had a little bit of a drought up there. I don't know if you were paying attention and doing your stuff at that time. It's been a little bit before I knew you, maybe a year before I knew you, but it kind of felt like there was a lull then, and we're in a little bit of one right now too. You kind of mentioned that you've got a lot of the items off of the shop at the moment, and therefore hard to make some prop unboxing videos. But I don't know if you've kind of seen any of those ebbs and flows in the cycle, or you followed it long enough to make an opinion on that yet.
No, not really. Yeah, I it was obviously in the UK. The UK is not the best place. The economy is fails. Um, People were living on paycheck to paycheck, so I could never get Fallout stuff. And I was a kid. I didn't have a job. So and my mum is very nah, that's a piece of junk. Well, I'm not going to get you that. Um, so it was very scarce on whether I could get something from Fallout. I never got anything from the Fallout shop. It was always from my local shops because obviously the gear store shipping is just tops on top. Um, and I remember when I first started 5 months ago, I ordered the Nuka-Cola bottle. I've wanted one for as long as I can remember. But I remember um, there was no such thing as a glass bottle back then. Um, I remember I was looking at like eBay for like Nuka-Cola bottles and the plastic ones, and I always used to go, "Oh, God, I really want one of them." And then obviously the glass ones came out, but they they're so expensive for a glass bottle. I just didn't have the heart to spend that much money on a glass bottle, and I didn't know about the discount codes at the time. Um, I didn't think that was a thing. Um, and then yeah, bought one, and then this brand ambassador program. Wow, has it got me like it's healed my inner child, and I'm so thankful for everyone that's used my code. Genuinely.
Yeah, to all the people out there that support us through it, you guys are absolutely amazing for what you're doing. And there's something I like to tell I guess my audience on various platforms is when you use one of those codes, depending on how big of the cart you're checking out with, it is like any full donation that you might do out of pocket. Like on Twitch, you'll see people give like $20 or whatever. Rarely, like that's a rare thing. Big streamers get that type of deal, et cetera, et cetera. But when someone goes to the Bethesda shop, gets themselves gear that they're happy with, merchandise that they're really happy with, and they use our coupon, you guys are giving fairly equivalent donations. I mean, it's 10% or something of whatever, something around that number of what you spend on your cart. So by getting yourself a Pip-Boy that you may already really want, you're really helping out a creator out there. So always be on the hunt for those codes. Never check out without one. If not to save your wallet, your own wallet, help out your fellow creators. Get a Slocum'sJoeOfficial here, something awesome off the shop for himself in return. And it's just this whole thing. I'm glad to see Bethesda working with creators better than they have years ago. I'm really glad to see that they're finding these ways for us to monetize ourselves and our craft. And I don't know, maybe we could have a little bit of a talk here as we get close to the end of our time. We're about up on it. So maybe we could talk a little bit about future plans that you've got going on, because, and I don't know how much you could talk about it. I know just a second ago you were saying you're still thinking about it, you're still planning. But if Slocum Joe's is going to keep going in the fashion that it's doing, whether you change video content or more, where do you kind of hope you see yourself in the next year? We've got new Fallout stuff coming soon. So this is always very fun a very fun question for me to ask people while we're all hyped up and while we know, hell, even I think season 3 just got greenlit by Amazon. So we know we've got this nice Fallout juicy thing going on in the future here. Where do you want to grow out your stuff to?
So I've said this to quite a few people. If I'm quite young, I'm 19, so it's good. I've still got a lot of years to do Fallout content, and it's going to get to one point where the already established content creators are going to retire. That's just the unfortunate side of it. They will retire. It get to a point where they just can't do it anymore. And that's where I think I want to step in. I want to be like the next Mrs. Fallout, the next the Fallout collector. I want to be the next one, the next biggest one, where people come to me and watch my content for Fallout content. So that's what I want to accomplish. It's been a bit rough at the minute, and I've had my doubts at the minute from like a complete stop of sales on brand ambassador. No idea why. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I've talked to other people. They seem to be doing perfectly fine. Mine's come to a complete stop. I've made one sale over almost 2 months now. So it's been pretty dire. This is what the whole I'm thinking about quitting part came from, that you and Thingy talked about last time. Yeah, I, I I'm still unsure whether I still can continue. Massive shout out to Mr. Wild Wasteland, because he has like got me a couple of things, which is awesome. So that's definitely helped a lot of my content. But I'm still massively unsure if I can continue or I can't.
What I have to say, I guess, or feel compelled to say, is that this whole time we're talking, that same refrain is in my head too. You can see my sales to some degree. Like, our accounts are linked in with one another. I'm with you. I've taken a nosedive over the last 2 months as well, and about the very same. I think I made one sale in the last month, and I think part of it's because I, like you, took some. Actually, I don't want to speak for you too much. You said you were going to take time away. I don't know if you ever stopped posting, but in the month of June, I did not post very much, and some of that is in relation to the shop. Some of that is, I've heard some of my own personal friends in real life kind of complain and be like, they're not even adding stuff up there. Like, there's nothing I could check out with anyway. Like, you know, that's kind of been some of the thing that they're going on about. I don't know other creators still using their codes and all the rest, but I gotta say, man, that's a lot of the reason behind even, you know, wanting to do this show, is so that people like you and I don't fall into any kind of obscurity, or maybe even so we don't burn out, because it's easy for content creators to suffer alone in a silo. It's a very interesting job where, and it is a job, I shouldn't even put it in quotes, but I'm putting in quotes because as a job, content creation is something you're not ever really allowed to complain about. Even when it's good-hearted complaints, even when it's real criticism that needs sort of addressed, it's hard to draw attention to yourself without coming across like, oh, woe is me, I'm so needy, blah, blah, blah. Audiences don't like that. Some people in them flock to that, and they rally around causes when a creator needs things, but other times not so much. And so that's why this space, I think, is also something of a little bit of a, maybe a therapeutic or cathartic place where we as creators can talk about some of these things. It's not like anyone out there is doing a disservice. So if there's like an audience member listening, there's no guilt to be had from this conversation. If you're hearing this, we're not guilting you. We're having a real chat here about what goes on behind the scenes, because like we've already talked about, content creation is very metrics driven. Even if you don't want it to be, when you log into things like your YouTube dashboard, the first thing you get hit with is, this video has done better or worse than your last one. So you're already met with like, hey, I did well, or hey, I suck and everyone hates me, like the world's against me. You're met with that kind of stuff. And like I say, I'm with you there, man, that my code has not been utilized very much, if at all, in recent months. And I do think it's something to do with the shop, though. I think that for as much as the Bethesda shop is selling things, there's not a lot of new going up there. The pre-orders can't use our codes, to my knowledge. So that's also a bit hard, as they're listing things as pre-orders. Another thing that just came to my mind is I've recently, maybe it's just that I've noticed it for the first time, but Bethesda started sending out their own 20% off coupons. I don't know if you saw that at all, but that made me go, like that undercuts the creators just a little bit. And I think my third and final thing before I throw it back to you is just to say, you mentioned the UK's economy. I mean, things over here in the United States are really dire. And, you know, food is something that's becoming quite a luxury. Buying orange juice is now unaffordable for so many people. And it does make me think that even the Fallout people, you know, there's a lot of money in the pockets of people who play video games a lot of times, a lot of big collectors. You have to have money to build a collection. And it does make me wonder how much people are kind of tightening their belts across the board. But if you've heard other people say their codes are fine, maybe you and I are doing something wrong. And if that's something, audience, you tell us below. What are we doing? How do we fix it? What can we do better? But I don't know if any of that rings true to you from anything you've heard either.
Yeah, I've talked to Mr. Wild Wasteland and a couple of other people. Their codes seem to be doing absolutely fine. They're getting a couple of sales per week. So it's definitely a massive toll on me, and it's a massive demotivator because I start to think, what am I doing wrong? Like, what am I doing differently from what I was doing then and doing now? And because I want to keep making content for people, I want to show people what they're getting from the Bethesda Gear store. So it concerns me that it's going to get to a point where I can't do that, especially because all my money is currently going on to a holiday I'm going away to. So it's very very weird. So I do question myself a lot what I'm doing. I've experimented with the codes. Some codes done better than others. Like some codes just didn't get any sales at all. So I've definitely come to the conclusion. I've come to two conclusions. Either YouTube was getting me the sales, because it's about the time I stopped uploading to YouTube was the time when I stopped making sales. So I thought maybe it's YouTube, or maybe it's to do with my code, because I was using Slocum's Joe 1, 2, 3, 4. It wasn't working. So I'm leaning towards the code and YouTube. So I've started posting back to YouTube. YouTube's been weird though. I posted 2 videos yesterday. One of them got to 157, completely stopped. Didn't go any higher. Just for like the first 5 minutes, it shot up to 175. Stop. Then I'd done another video like 2-4 hours later. It got up to 205, capped out completely after like 10 minutes of being uploaded, and then it went down, which made no sense.
What?
I sent it to Mr. Wild Wasteland, and I said, "How have I gone from 201 views down to 152?"
That's weird. And the worst part about all this is the only advice that anyone can ever give in these situations is keep plugging away, man. Just keep on posting. And it sucks. I don't know. I mean, again, to the audience out there, don't take this like we're complaining for the sake of complaining. I mean, maybe we are. I don't know. But it affects you. It really does. I mean, when you make content that you're hopeful that other people will share and at least enjoy, if not share, if not comment, if not do anything in a big way, at least they might watch it and like it, or use the discount code, save some money. But yeah, I think I drove a lot from YouTube Shorts. You used to ask me like where I was getting it from, and I've still continued to post YouTube Shorts, not as diligently. I was at a stage of doing it once a day. But if I go in here and look, I think some of my videos have gotten similar levels. Someone even wrote under here, thank you for the code on one I just posted yesterday. That's cool. But the video got some decent views. But I don't know. I'm with you. It's so easy to go kind of up and down in these things and hard to trust it. I posted a longer form video over on YouTube and it's got 6 views. You just don't know. I've heard other people say like take it down and repost it if it doesn't do well. There's probably something to that. I've certainly reused shorts in the past whenever, I'm not always going to recreate those, but I don't know. I'm with you, man, is all I can say. And I know that's not the same amount of like, it's not an answer. It's not a silver bullet. It doesn't fix the problem. But I would say when it comes to doing what you're doing and showing up, I mean, there is something to that. What you guys are building is certainly bigger than just the codes right now. And again, it's not like I can sit here in some mentorship position and like tell you from on high what to do. But the way I look at it is, for me, the codes are a really nice short-term money thing. Like if they generate us some money, if they help us continue with our hobby, I look at that as great. It sort of lubricates it, and it makes it so it works. But I think like what you guys are doing with the market, I think with your idea of coming up with other content outside of the prop reviews, I think that's probably the safer place to like aim for, is something beyond any of this. Because these codes, not to scare anyone, but these codes could go away at any time. If Bethesda and brand ambassadors stop working with each other, there's a high probability that there just won't be any sort of commission codes to use in the future. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying it could at any time. And so that's why I try and keep this thing in my mind of like, well, we want to be building something bigger than just a code base. I'm not trying to make any implication that's what you're doing. I'm just saying that's what I tell myself is like, keep striving for the bigger things, the podcast, creating some sort of, patron style thing outside of it, whether that's Patreon or Coffee or one of those, YouTube, trying to grow an audience there. I'd love personally to strike it big on YouTube someday. It just gives you a lot of clout and cachet that you can grow your other projects through that. Like if you have a lot of YouTube subscribers, you can continue to launch things of your own. And so maybe that's all I can say as we're kind of getting towards a conclusion of the episode. We still have some time to chit chat here, and I definitely want to get maybe some shout outs from you, some other creators that you like and you enjoy seeing strive here. But yeah, my last thought on that whole thing is we have no other choice but to keep plugging away. Or we can hang up our hats and walk away from it all and let it go into the void. But I found that to be even less rewarding in my year. So as tough as it is, if you're enjoying it, if you like seeing the community built, even if it's not making that money right now, I would say stick to it. You guys already got something good. You got a lot of good creators around you, and I think that's one of those lightning in a bottle situations. So maybe pivoting a little bit from that, if you want. Again, you're welcome to give in more thoughts to it. But if you maybe want to do some shout outs to people too, again, a good time to kind of recognize those people who have come and helped build this community with you. Any people you're really impressed by these days, if you want to shout them.
Yeah, so back onto the code part. I definitely think it will get to one day where brand ambassador is no longer a useful thing. Obviously, so many people are sharing the brand ambassador program to so many people are getting into it now. The whole code thing is getting saturated. So many people are going, well, I've got a code now people can use, so why am I going to use anyone else's code? So I think a lot of people are sharing and sharing and sharing and sharing. Obviously, one of the challenges you can get, what was it, $10 to, if you share it to a friend and get them into the brand ambassador program. So people are doing that, and it's spreading and spreading and spreading, and it will get to a point where people can no longer use codes because everyone is on the brand ambassador app. I mean, there will still be a few hundred people of where they don't want to do it and they're happy with their 20% discount, but majority of people would like to do what we do, and that's saturating it. But the shout outs, I think there's only one person I can give a shout out to, and that's Mr. Wild Wasteland. He has been a tremendous help to my channel and everything I've been doing. He supported me like no one else.
That's amazing. But you bring a good point up there with that code thing, and back to this sort of vague advice, the nebulous advice that I gave is, I firmly believe what you're saying is true based on what I've seen as well. But then maybe if there's a silver lining in there, this doesn't sound like a polite silver lining, it doesn't sound like a comfy silver lining, but if that is the case, that it's all too saturated, then there probably will be a coming around point, like a boomerang moment, where a lot of people will give up on using their codes, like promoting their codes. They will tire of it. They will just stop logging into the app and they will stop promoting them. And so I guess the reminder in there, again, for anyone who's brave enough or dedicated enough, or hell, if you're even foolish enough, for those of us who keep plugging away at it each and every day and keep trying and getting that stuff out there, eventually those will be the people that are rewarded. Could I be wrong in all this and the saturation will just continue forever? Possibly. But that's where I go back to the community element being a really key thing. Is the people who give up on the stuff will be the people who don't get a community of their own. And this is not to sound like disrespect to anyone out there trying. This isn't Kyle yucking on someone's yum or dissing someone's grind or anything like that. But this is the same with all types of creators. YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, streamer, whatever it is. There eventually comes a time where you ask yourself, like, is it worth it for me to do this today? And that's where a lot of the decisions are sort of made. Whether someone succeeds or fails is whether they go back to it again. And sometimes walking away from one project is a good thing. I'm also not trying to tell people like, hey, if your Twitch account's not growing for 5 years, you should keep it up for a sixth. Actually, there's probably, again, a good time to reevaluate what you're doing. Is it worth it to keep on? If you've tried forever the same way, why not try something different? So I guess is a long-winded way of telling you the old advice that you've already heard over and over again, but it's the people who stick with it that will be rewarded. And if you didn't already have a community that you were growing on the side, advice would be maybe very different. But with what you guys got going and the fact that you've already looped so many great creators in, I think the surefire solution to everyone that's, a part of what you're building over on the Facebook group and beyond is, keep supporting those creators. This is a call to action for all the people out there in the audience. If you're enjoying what Slocum'sJoeOfficial is doing, what Mr. Wild Wasteland's doing, what Marty and any of the other people that have been through the door, Nort, we go on through the whole list. If you like what you see these people do, support that content. It really means a lot. Actually, I think it's Vendor Hunt 76 in his episode. He's the one that starts off the show just by saying, support these creators. He has a point. If you're out there watching this stuff passively, it's time to get a little more active. We beg of you. I'll say it for the two of us and beyond. Take that time to leave that thumbs up. Leave a comment below. Interlink your favorite creators. Shout out the work that people are doing. Send some PMs telling people you like what they're doing. All that stuff means a lot. It's so easy for us to just passively consume, and believe me, I know it. I do it over the years myself. But I try to reach out. I try to post more comments, post more likes, post more of this. Because it's that free stuff that boosts your favorite creator from getting nothing to something. And I can say that that's true about those YouTube videos, is how far you go in the algorithm seems to be dictated by how much interaction it gets within the first hour. So maybe something you could do about that stuff is also changing the time of day you post. Weirdly enough, I found that the best time for my videos to post is not at all a US time zone thing. Like, I post at midnight Eastern time, 5 a.m. probably your time. And I don't know what, maybe I got like a lot of German people out there that it's a good time zone for them. They watch my content during breakfast. I don't know, but someone at midnight Eastern time is liking that stuff and promoting it. So there's something to tweak as well as when it releases, and also maybe where you share that stuff. I think I could do better at that. Is like pinging more people whenever a YouTube video goes up so they actually know to go and engage with it. But that's sort of the last of my random rant here. I think that you and I can keep plugging away at this stuff, and my door is always open if you ever have ideas that you want to run past me or vice versa. I mean, I'm always down to chat and help out other people, even just see if the idea seems good. It's all about us helping each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have one thing to say about YouTube. YouTube has definitely... I'm very upset with YouTube. YouTube used to be my favorite. And then they introduced shorts, and like long form content has become a thing of the past. I mean, there are still these big established content creators that do still do long form, but shorts has definitely completely taken over YouTube. So when you post a long form content as a new YouTuber, you don't get that interaction than you do with shorts, because it's dopamine. Obviously, you don't want to watch a whole video, you want to watch shorts, and you doom scroll. That's one thing that's very upsetting with YouTube, that they've leaned more towards the get your daily dose of dopamine.
Oh, I agree. For as much as I use it and like try and force myself to use it, I mean, we might just be similar viewers, you and I, because you mentioned not really being on TikTok earlier, and I have those same feelings as well. I'm a long format guy myself. I like to make longer format, usually 30 minutes minimum. But yeah, I don't know. We're sort of stuck with it, I guess. Like, it sucks. YouTube's algorithm for it all is not very good either. I get fed the most, I guess you'd call it, brain rot. It's not like it's crazy brain rot. It's just I get fed a lot of people auto building in Minecraft, like using a tool that creates a thing. And I'm like, I'm not anti Minecraft, but I'm also not pro Minecraft. Like, what are you even feeding me, YouTube? This is not like you're hardly even feeding me Fallout content. So there's also a big disconnect too in what that algorithm does. Like, I don't know. I'll just say that I'm with you though. It's all very weird. But work with the tools that we're given, I suppose.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that. It feeds you some just random and just rubbish.
Yeah. Ugh. Well, it can be a part of our next conversation. We'll get you back through the door here in the future, and we can see where things are standing. Hopefully everyone's codes will become a lot more utilized and a lot more beloved. We'll have your links in the description, whether folks here choose to go and listen to this over on Spotify, or maybe check out the Substack for the newsletter. You get your name in on that list so you never miss out on an episode. You get an email, and it'll have Slocum Joe's Official's links to, like I said, Instagram, TikTok, and beyond. And if you like this sort of stuff, use our codes. Go promote it around. Go share it to your friends. Maybe your friends don't know that these Bethesda shop codes exist. So you can get them linked in on it. Also, lots of giveaways are happening over in the Wild Wasteland market. So be sure to get involved over there as well. You can go find that by searching up on the Facebook side of things. Just go and look in the groups tab and you'll find it steadily and readily. Rhys, thank you so much for being on here today, man. This was great. I'm glad you got to come through, and I hope things start looking up for the code. I think you're doing great work, and I think it's all about just keeping that passion going. And if one avenue doesn't work, man, spin up something new. Always try a different thing, and don't be shy about tapping these other creators you got around you for collaboration stuff. Not just Instagram collabs, but maybe making some other project like you and Mr. Wild Wasteland are doing. I think that could. You never know where success might come from. You know, you never know what sort of project someone else might be working on that you can get involved with too. So thank you so much for coming by today. It means a lot to me, to everyone out there watching. Again, I told you could find those links in the description of anywhere you're hearing this, but we wish you a safe time as you traverse these wastelands. And until next time, everyone, take care. Well, everybody, I'll do a quick sign off here at the very end and say thank you for listening to Vault Broadcast. If you get the chance, leave a comment below of some of your favorite creators that we could speak to in the future. If there's someone you want to see come on to the show that we haven't spoken to already, or if you want to give us the names of the questions you might have for some of the people that are going to be returning in the near future. That is our goal, to bring people back through. So big thanks to Rhys for being here. Everyone go follow Slocum Joe's Official. You can find the links down in the description, also over on our Substack page. And of course, you can see it up on the screen there. You can find all of that nicely put together for you at overseerkyle.com. If you're interested in using our Bethesda gear code to save yourself 20% off at the shop, this week it should be code BTails39, BTails40, BTails41. Those will go through in a cycle. So let's get that up there for you right now. Of course, go check out Rhys's code as well, like we were talking about on the episode. It's about bringing this together and helping to uplift one another. You can see I've run out of words here at the very end of the day. My brain's ready to relax. But one last thing to say, you can save 10% off with a code BTails on the Modifius site. That is on the Fallout TTRPG itself. So thank you one and all for listening. It means the world to me. Go check out those links I've just told you about. Come check us out on twitch.tv/Overseer Kyle. We're going to be doing Fallout 76 content. We're kicking up some crafting fairs for the month of August. It should be August 2nd and 16th are the days we're looking at now as well. And I know this, I sort of say this like a broken record, but we are getting our second Fallout TTRPG group up and running soon. I've been moving into the new office. They've been getting new jobs. Everyone's in a state of flux and limbo right now. So we're getting our stuff together, and that might wind up being more of a fall campaign series the rate we're going. But it's really fun to see so many ambitious and motivated people. We have an amazing community member who's even donating sketches and drawings of the characters. So if there's people out there that like to do art, maybe you sound off in the comments too. If anyone wants to kind of do any of that for the TTRPGs, really fun stuff. It's a share and share like community around here. And eventually, I mean, if we get good income someday, if YouTube enables ads someday, we would love to pay all of these people for the great work they're doing so everyone can afford bills and the rest. For right now, we're all flying by the seat of our pants, aren't we? We're all just plugging along, and that's what it's about, having such a great community at your back. That's what I was trying to say as that message throughout the episode is things like the Wild Wasteland Market are just awesome places where people can go and grow. So that's a reminder to all of you to go and follow, get subscribed, get into that group itself. It's a full group of like other creators and the like, or at least the admin team is full of creators. So follow them back as well, support their works. That's going to be it. I could ramble forever, but I'm going to leave it here. It's a big, nice, beefy, long episode for you all. So enjoy it. And we'll have Slocum's Joe back on in the future. I mean, great guy to talk to. So we were BSing at the end for another half an hour to an hour. I know he's got a lot to add. So catch you all next time. Bye-bye.